Hey, what's up? How's it hanging? This is GatorX. It wouldn't be a GatorX stream if it didn't start like a minute or two late. Hopefully everything's all good, but yeah, E3's been going on this week. Let me make sure view live chat is on. Uh, yeah, that should be everything, right? How's it going, everyone? How has your Wednesday, today's Wednesday been? Yeah, when E3 has been going on the past day. Well, the whole weekend. But Nintendo has been here. Let me see something. Is live chat going to play? Yeah, all messages are visible, right? Right, it should be showing all live chat. Hey, everybody in the chat, how's it going? Uh, yeah, how's it going? So, obviously, there's been a lot of controversy with Pokemon as of late, or at least today, since last night. Because last night, they made quite the shocking reveal. They made an announcement. It wasn't, oh, this is in the game, or this new Pokemon, that new person, or whatever. Okay, now I'm starting to see the chat. All right, Go Selka, Leafy, you guys are in the chat? Okay, cool. So audio sounds fine. But yeah, as you can see, there was a hashtag, and this was actually trending on Twitter last night. Hashtag bring back national decks. And what that means exactly, if you're out of loop or anything, they were talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield, or how it's going to be going on with Sword and Shield, right? With the Treehouse, which I still got the Treehouse on here, although they're showing what is it, Damon X Machina. So, no, not super interested in that. But point is, with E3, right, we get the Treehouse, so we get to know a little bit more about some of the games, right? About some of the games that are coming out, and they didn't show a whole lot for Sword and Shield. There is a demo for Sword and Shield at E3 that you can play right now. Sadly, I'm not over there, or else I'd be playing it. But we did talk about that yesterday. Yeah, the big thing is the Treehouse presentation, where they got to sit down with some of the people who are working on the games, right? Notably, right, Masuda and Omori, who, again, are very big and important people for Pokemon. And Masuda said something that kind of shook everything up, right? As far as the national dex goes. That is that not every Pokemon is going to be in Sword and Shield. Now, obviously, it's a basic thing of like, oh yeah, of course not every Pokemon is going to be in the Shield. Closer says, reveal thicker than Shuckle walls. Reveal, yep. Well, for one thing, here's the thing. This puts up like a big wall for Pokemon, basically. So again, that's the thing. So not every Pokemon is going to be in Sword and Shield. And again, like you say, well, okay, yeah, sure, not every Pokemon is going to be in Sword and Shield. That means that even during the post game, even after the game's been out for a while, even after they allow like access with Pokemon Home, which I'm still real confused on exactly how Pokemon Home is supposed to work. I guess Home allows you to bring Pokemon from like Go into Sword and Shield. Let's see. I didn't see that. Silence is a weapon says Pokemon retirement home because they aren't leaving. Exactly, that's basically it. Pokemon retirement home, they aren't leaving. So yeah, you cannot bring Pokemon from your older games into Sword and Shield. That's the gist of what's happening. From what it seems so far, and for a while, like for maybe like an hour afterwards, people are like, well, maybe what he said was, maybe what we heard was a mistranslation of what he said. Apparently, no, it's not a mistranslation. Pokemon from Sun and Moon, X and Y, and everything else will not be able to come into Sword and Shield, is what I'm understanding is what is going on here. Again, Sword and Shield is still going to have a lot of previous Pokemon. We've seen, like, from the trailers already a lot, right? There's a whole list of, like, Pokemon, and a bunch of the pseudo-legendary dragons are actually going to be in the game, just from footage we've seen. But not every Pokemon, you're not going to be able to transfer every Pokemon. Basically, like, if it's not confirmed in the regional Pokedex for Galar, it's not going to be in the game. There's going to be no national Pokedex. And Sun and Moon didn't have, like, a real national Pokedex for the most part. But you were still able to transfer things over, right? It still got compatibility with Pokemon Bank later on. Sword and Shield is not going to be compatible with Pokemon Bank from my understanding. Again, if I'm getting all of this correctly. Leafy says, I thought it was Pokemon from Sun and Moon and all that can be transferred. What was it? It's Pokemon Sun and Moon and all that can be transferred only if it's Dex for Sword and Shield. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. I did misspeak a little. It's only Pokemon regional there. So, and again, I'm trying to like explain this best I guess. But yeah, again, sorry. only Pokemon regional to the game. So we can't get like older Pokemon. For one thing, right? Haxorus, say Haxorus is in Sword and Shield. So that's a Gen 5 Pokemon that we can get. But if it's not like in the regional Pokedex for Sword and Shield, it can't be transferred over. That's the basic thing. Sorry, I didn't misspeak. But any Pokemon from the older games that are not in the regional Pokedex cannot be transferred over. You can put them in home, I believe, but they can't go from home to Sword and Shield. Again, like it's a confusing situation, really. But that for the most part, that's like basically it. In that, a lot of older Pokemon you're not going to be able to transfer over. And it seems like it's probably pretty likely that all of Kanto will be, well, maybe not all of Kanto, but a good amount of Kanto definitely is going to be, you're going to be able to transfer it over. For one thing, right, the main issue is that, you know, people's favorite Pokemon, right? If your favorite Pokemon just straight up isn't in the game, then I guess you're out of luck. And with 800, okay, and again, you know, there's a little bit of justification, I suppose, right? 800 Pokemon, you can't have every single Pokemon in the game. You could, obviously. But you know what's interesting? They said that was kind of the reason they had some compromise because they had deadlines to meet, and you know it's interesting because we also saw it with something with Animal Crossing during E3, right, or with the direct presentation, and that Animal Crossing was initially slated for a 2019 release, and we didn't really see a whole lot for it, and then Animal Crossing was pushed back to 2020, and they were saying, you know, well, we want. You know, we want everybody working on it to be able to maintain a good balance with work, and we don't want to crunch and everything, and we really want to make sure this game is done well. And with Sword and Shield, it's kind of a different thing. It's like, you know, while maintaining all this, while maintaining like good work ethic and everything and everybody, we have a deadline to meet. And here's the thing, like you could easily say like, just push back the Pokemon game, right? The thing is, Pokemon's more than just a game, even though the main series games are like what drive the games and everything. There's also the anime and the TCG to think about, and everything else. Here, they're getting a lot of chats. Let's see. Leafy again says, there was a follow-up leak from the original dude, and he said there will be monthly raids that have Pokemon from old games, which I think would be cool. Whether it's real or not, I don't know. Again, you know, I'm not following a whole lot of rumors and leaks or anything, but if that's something they implement, that'd be great. Jack Corbett says, Gatorex, there's been an image that tells me Pokemon Bank can connect to Pokemon Home ever since the Pokemon press conference. Okay. Yeah, it's something like that. Bank can go to Home, and then Home to Sword and Shield. I think that's it. Let's see. Silence's Weapon says, because the costs add up. The price of the Switch, the game, the online service we have to pay for, and we'll most likely have to pay for Home as well. Sales would be impacted a bit because of it. Definitely, it's... like this whole situation's a big thing because, you know, especially with this game being so big and so great, it had sold a lot of people on it. You know, a lot of people were like skeptical about it. And recent trailers and, you know, the direct has changed a lot of people's minds. And this whole situation has kind of changed some other minds. So and it's unfortunate that, well, they were gonna have to say something about it, obviously, eventually. But it is unfortunate. Okay, the whole thing of like some people boycotting the games, obviously, and I keep almost dropping this. Obviously, you cannot buy something if you don't want it. But I think it's a bit of a dumb reason. It's still a Pokemon game at its core, and the thing is, I don't know if they would end up like trying to patch in other Pokemon, if they would like put in time to work on it. Alexis says, so I normally avoid spoilers, but what exactly is the hashtag had to ask? Okay, so yeah, again, the basic part of it is that like the regional Pokedex for Sword and Shield is going to be the only Pokedex. You're not going to be able to transfer older Pokemon that do not already appear in the game. So it's basically, once the game has been rolled out, you know, in Sun and Moon, right? You could basically end up getting all 800 Pokemon by the end of it. Well, if you had all 800 Pokemon, if you had a way to get it. In Sword and Shield, you're not going to be able to own all 800 Pokemon. You're going to be able to own however many are in the game. Say like, you know, with all the new Pokemon mixed with some of the old Pokemon, let's say we get like 300 Pokemon or so total. That's going to be it for the game. You're only going to be able to have those 300. And, you know, all the brand new Pokemon introduced in Sword and Shield, as well as some of the older ones. And again, you know, we see like Golurk is going to be in the game. We see Haunter, Pikachu, obviously, Minccino. Those are Pokemon that are going to be in the game, right? Let's see. Yeah, that's basically it. If I can explain it the best, I'm suppose I'm not the best. Let's see. The dex tends to average around there somewhat. Yeah, it's that's basically what the situation is. And again, at the very beginning of the stream or the video, I didn't exactly explain it the best. By the way, I'm probably not going to be here in this stream too long, just because things gotta get moving. Let's see. Ultimate Hit says, I think all Gen 1 Pokemon will be in the game. I believe so. I think I had heard that, and it does make a little sense. Again, that's one thing that happens to come up in a lot of streams, the whole, like, oh, Gen 1 gets too much love. Oh, Gen 1 is this and that. And, like, I still like Gen 1, but, I don't know. Who knows? I think it's a little unfairly too loved. For one thing, I'll say this, right? My favorite Pokemon, Totodile, okay? Right now is, like, the 20th anniversary of Gold and Silver. And, well, not Crystal, but Gold and Silver. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get Totodile. At least. Fingers crossed, at the very least, we get the Johto. We get the Johto starters. Or at least a good amount of Johto Pokemon. I mean, Noctowl has already been confirmed in the game from a trailer. Cloris says Gen 1 does get too much, Gen 2 is best. Okay, this is the year of Gen 2 love, honestly. I hope. Again, 20th anniversary, just please give us some Gen 2 love in some way. Alexis again says, I likely won't buy it now, since one thing I love about Pokemon is being able to use my old and rare Pokemon even today, even if some of them suck. And, that is a thing, like, for one thing with not Sword and Shield, but like Sun and Moon, right? Or just basically any Pokemon game, with X and Y, of course, too. For the first few months that it's out, we don't have access to old Pokemon. Ultimate Hit says, let's see, I'm keeping hope for patch... I'm keeping hope of patch ups for the rest of Pokemon later on. And again, is that something that they would do? From what I know about like Sun and Moon, right? That was something that they did with the Mega Stones, I believe, because not every Mega Stone was in it. I think. I mean, they could definitely continue patching in Pokemon, because they said right from the bat, they said like the issue is time, because they need to meet deadlines. And again, I saw this tweet from someone saying like Pokemon's not just the games. Pokemon is the anime, the TCG, and just everything else. Because let's say Sword and Shield gets pushed back to March 2020, right? Same thing as Animal Crossing. Later this year, like, everything is already set in stone, pretty much. Everything's scheduled. The TCG, there's going to be the Sword and Shield TCG sets later on. There's going to be the Sword and Shield anime, right? And all of that really does kind of need to line up, just because of how it is. And not just that, but like everything else. Because again, your Pokemon is so much. Pokemon Go, I don't know if we get Gen 8 right away. We don't have Gen 7 in Pokemon Go, even though it came out the same year, yeah. We got the Alola forms. But, I mean, Pokemon Go is, different. They're real slow. But, like, the TCG, like, the TCG does take a while to catch up. I think, like, normally it'd be in January where we start getting, like, the Sword and Shield sets. And again, with the anime, it probably wouldn't be until around, actually, I don't know with the anime, but... Point is, everything's on a set schedule, and so they had to meet those deadlines, and that's the compromise that they decided to make, just not include every Pokemon. But if they decide to work on some patches and continue patching in Pokemon, they could do that. The question is, will they? Catching up on chat, Silence says, sometimes we just have to vote with our wallets. I'm not canceling my pre-order until the whole Galar Dex is revealed. And, that's a good idea. The whole thing of, like, voting with your wallets, yeah, I understand that. But, like, I don't know. For, like, with Pokemon games, I guess, like, we do have, like, the whole, I guess, point of it is, like, it's a new experience, right? But the whole thing of, like, wanting your older Pokemon, definitely. Like, my shiny Quagsire, I want my shiny Quagsire to go Dynamax if it's possible. Although then again, actually no, hey, I can, right? Quagsire is actually in the Galar Pokedex, so I mean, no problem, I can get my Quagsire. But for like every other Pokemon, and I think that was an interesting thing. I think they said that only Pokemon native to the Galar region can Dynamax. But if they're not going to let any Pokemon that's already not native to the Galar region in the game, then I guess, what's the issue there? The thing is, though, the question of how many Pokemon there will be. I don't know what the regional Pokedex for, like, Sun and Moon was. Or, like, how big it was. Or, like, with X and Y. But I would assume, like, I would hope at the very least it's around there, around, like, 300 Pokemon. Again, well, because let's say there are about 100 Pokemon in Sword and Shield, or 100 Generation 8 Pokemon, right? That's pretty generous. So let's say 200, 300, even 300 Pokemon from previous games. That's easy. But the thing is, that's still like half of what we have. And again, let me catch up on chat. Says press F for all the previous starters. Yep, Bootleg Pikachu is in the chat. Hello. Leafy says, Pokemon Go, we don't have Gen 5 yet. Yeah, Pokemon Go, we don't have Gen 5. But well, again, that's a different thing because it's rolling things out. Alexis again says, most likely they'll patch it. I kind of feel they'll have to. And yeah, they do kind of have to. But at the issue is we just have so many Pokemon. We have 800. And that's the nature of it. Pokemon's been around for more than 20 years. So obviously they're going to need to be a lot of Pokemon. But come Generation 10, if Pokemon's still doing things at Gen 10, which very likely, it's going to be more than 1,000 Pokemon. You definitely could implement them into the game. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We had talked about this a little bit in the past, right? Or on the previous streams. 3D models versus sprites, right? Had everything stuck to sprites, like Generation 5 style sprites, would they have been able to implement every single Pokemon in Sword and Shield? If Sword and Shield were running Gen 5 graphics, of course updated, would they be able to include all 900 or so Pokemon? Interesting question. Potentially. Maybe. I don't know for sure. Just a thought. Just a suggestion. Maybe. Of course, they're not going to do that because, they've already moved on to 3D. Let's see. Silence again says, I'm not saying it won't be a good game, but I'd rather, let my Mons hang back until a game that allows all Mons to be transferred in through home is released. I don't want a partial bank. Yeah, definitely. Because, that is a lot of fun of Pokemon, right? When bank is announced or when you're able to transfer over your old Pokemon, then the real fun begins, right? Then you can start having your old Pokemon. But then again, for each game, I do tend to just train a new team, right? Because a lot of the times for VGC, they all Pokemon need to be bred or caught in the current region for VGC. So that's typically what I tend to stick to, but I know for a lot of people who just do casual battles or who do Smogon types of battles, that doesn't matter because that's the only thing. The restriction of using Pokemon bred or caught in that region is only for VGC. But everything else, again, casual battles, it just transfer over your Pokemon. And again, if you have some shinies, okay, I only have one shiny that's not Gyarados, but yeah, and especially Pokemon with your memories, right? Here's the thing, I have my Blaziken from Pokemon Ruby from 2003. I still have that in my current game in Pokemon Sun, or is it in ORAS right now? I don't think I transferred it over up to Sun. But the point is, that's still cool because it's the Pokemon that I've had for dang 16 years. And I can still just keep transferring up, and it says right there, it's travel a long way through time, and this and that. But I don't know, but I can't have that Pokemon. Just knowing that I can't do that. Potentially, they haven't announced whether Blaziken's gonna be in Sword and Shield, and it's a lot of chat. Let's see, they would probably have to do it in waves if they were going to add the rest. Maybe, probably. April Spencer says 400. They need time to profit it. Like they said it would be. Silence again says it's also about the principle. Yeah, definitely. If they think they can get away with it, there's no guarantee they won't do it again. They announced home because they were, knew they were worried about something like this. And the whole thing of getting away with it, I suppose it's an unfortunate situation overall. Again, what they said is with scheduling. But the thing is, if this goes through, it's very likely this trend might continue. Okay, here's an interesting thing, though. Here's an interesting suggestion, an interesting thought, right? Pokemon, that's the whole basic thing. With, Sun and Moon, you have Sun and Moon, and then, maybe, a few months later, then we get Bank. It can interact with Pokemon Bank, and then by then, it's oh, yeah, then you can transfer all Pokemon, and then, 4 months later, then, yeah, complete National Pokedex. What about this? Sword and Shield come out 2018. We've got, 400 Pokemon, right? A year later, we get Ultra Sword and Shield, or Sword and Shield 2. And by then, they've had the time to implement every Pokemon. Let's say that's a year later. By then, we'll have the National Pokedex. Would that be a bad idea, or would that be as bad? The difference is 4 months versus a year. But would that be the optimal way to go about it? To not patch Sword and Shield at all, but to just wait until Sword and Shield 2 or Ultra Sword and Shield or whatever you want to call it, or bow or spear or whatever. If they had to come to that, I think that might work out best. Aside from regularly patching Sword and Shield, just adding on everything in Sword and Shield as things go on. But at the same time, that's also a decent way to keep the game alive, because Pokemon games, in a way, for online games, right? Games that are primarily online. Let's say Splatoon, right? Splatoon, while it does have a story mode, the main gameplay is online, so it needs constant events, constant updates to keep the game going. And that's how it's kind of been around for 2 years and still. And again, it's just a solid game. You can still have a game like that going without constant addition things, just as long as the online still works and people are still playing it. With something like Pokemon, yeah, you do play through it, and there is an online, but I think a lot of the times once people finish it and say transfer all their stuff up, yeah, you can still keep battling if you want to, but for the most part it's kind of done unless you replay it with a Nuzlocke or something. But what if that's the optimal way? And I'm not saying that this is something they should do. I definitely think that every Pokemon should just be in the game off the bat. But let's say that's what they do. Let's say every 2 months they end up patching, or every 2-3 months, maybe something like that, they end up dumping in 50 more Pokemon. I don't know, 50 to 100 more Pokemon, let's say. Then it's oh, hey, this Pokemon is here. This Pokemon's new and added. This changes things up. The meta changes for the online, for VGC and people who battle on BattleSpot, and then for people who who want their old stuff, then it comes back. I mean, I think going forward, knowing what we know now, that's the best way to go forward, but or a decent way, as many as you can. Try and get 100. And I'm really behind on chat. Let's see, Mad Z says, I don't think the 800 plus argument stands because they can limit the Pokemon catchable as built-in balance as opposed to deleting the Pokemon. Yeah, definitely, because that's basically how things are, right? In that you can say in a game you can only catch this amount, but then once everything comes out, you should be able, every Pokemon should still be in the game and you should be able to transfer them up over. Let's see, Moonimation says, if not all Mon are available, it is interesting to see if competitive gets more diverse as a result of not all common used Mon being in the game. Yeah, I mean, it'll shake that up, definitely. But again, it's a thing of for people who don't, in VGC, I definitely think that this is what VGC needs. For the casual fans and for people who don't battle in VGC, it hurts them. Let's see. Jack Corbett says, still it's a shame spiky-eared Pichu and cosplay Pikachu are stuck in Gen 4 and 6. That's the real issue. We don't get those Pokemon at all. That's the real issue. They're straight stuck. April Spencer says, they could delay home and fix it later. Mad Z says, do you think personally that Game Freak will patch this in the future, even though they've never added patched content before? I don't think they will. Again, I'm a little late to reading chats, but that's what I think will happen. That the rest of the Pokemon will come in Sword and Shield 2. If that's something we get. Bootleg Pikachu says they still have to use the hardware they are limited to so it can run smoothly then with software updates and whatever can eventually add more. Closer says Pokemon X and Y, so much play value again. Let's see, Mad Z says if the 31st can hold the code though, so can switch. Science Again says, I understand that they need time to make tweaks to all the models, because a lot of little things can add up and be time consuming. It's the fact that they weren't completely upfront about it that bothers me. Completely upfront. I do think that when would they have talked about that though? When would they have announced that? I think E3 is a decent time, but if they could I don't know, maybe I don't know, because when are they gonna say it? Because a Pokemon Direct, they come out and say, hi, welcome to the Pokemon Direct. There's going to be no national Dex. I think the format of E3, where the developers and people working on the game sitting down talked about it with other people, kind of like an interview style, I think that works out. But at the same time, if E3 would have been a little earlier, well, how long until the game? It's June right now. July, August, September, October, November, that's 5 months. So we got a 5-month head start to at least know about this. But, on one hand, though, a lot of the backlash about Pokemon, about Mario Maker 2, right? Because Mario Maker 2 was gonna have like a funky way with handling like online play with friends. And recently they did announce that like, hey, we heard your backlash, we're gonna fix that. Again, Nintendo is different from Game Freak, but would they do something? Because I think like the backlash against this situation is so much more than what happened with Mario Maker. Because again, you know, this whole hashtag thing, and like I said, it was trending. And I'm not saying that like that's indicative of like how important it is, but I think like I don't think it's like an even 50-50 split amongst the community. But then again, you know, maybe it's just because people I follow. Like a lot of people I follow, obviously, are like Pokemon content creators, and a lot of them are like, you know, it's fine. I don't hate it, but at the same time, right. I mean, right now in the chat, I think a decent amount of people are pretty like not happy with it, and I'm not happy with it. If we don't get Totodile in Sword and Shield, what's the point anyway? And like again, there's so many people. There's so many Pokemon that I like absolutely love, and I really want to be in this game that I want to be able to use on the Switch, right? You know, the whole thing with like looking forward to Sword and Shield, and you know, I have a capture card, right? I've been talking about it with Let's Go. The great thing about the capture card is that, you know, now I can get like footage of like the first 150 Pokemon. And I'm like, all right, that's great, but I can't wait until Sword and Shield, and then I can just easily get footage of every single Pokemon. But that's not going to be the case. It's going to be limited. And if I can't do that, then yeah, it hurts. It hurts definitely. I'm okay. For one thing, Pikachu's going to be in the game. I like Pikachu. What other Pokemon do I like? Gyarados. Gyarados is going to be in the game. Totodile for Alligator. I really hope they're in it. They haven't been announced. Lopunny is one of my favorites. Lopunny hasn't been announced or anything. Hydreigon at least is in the game. Garchomp. Has Garchomp been stated whether it's going to be in the game or not? I hope so. I would assume so. I feel bad because if I'm going to say something about it. Garchomp, again, one of my favorite Pokemon. What are some of my other favorite Pokemon or Pokemon that I just really want to be able to use? I mean, yeah, definitely gonna change things up. Look, all right, I'll say this: if like the Pokemon just dominating VGC, if they're not in the game, then that at least is good for VGC. But again, just having your Pokemon. Where's my Totodile and my Lopunny? If they're okay, let me take a look here. I don't know. Vaporeon. Okay, Vaporeon's gonna be in it because it's evolution. Heck, I don't know. Let me catch up on chat. Dan Villian? I'm sorry, I get people. All right, it says, I believe they will allow all in format, maybe Pokemon Castle. I'm fairly convinced this will be a third game. And I can totally see paid DLC additions like closed customization sets and stuff. I don't know if they would do paid DLC for Pokemon. Like they've done it in, well, Game Freak hasn't done it, but they've done it for Pokken with new characters. And Pokemon Bank is basically the paid DLC. Pay $5 and then you can bring in your Pokemon. That's basically the extent to DLC. But again, with Pokemon Bank and Pokemon Home now, it's all kind of a mess. Mad C says, also, they also taking Z-moves and Mega Evolution. Thoughts? Do you think if there's enough consistent fan backlash, something will change? If there's enough I think, well, again, because, you know, Mario, with the Mario Maker thing, right? They said it was going to be patched later, the fixing the friends thing. It's like, when it's launched, it's not going to be like that, obviously, because it's too close to launch. But they're going to fix that later. And again, the whole thing of, like, Pokemon, is that something they would do? Would they patch? If they... That's the thing. Me personally, I do not think the fan backlash is going to change them adding patches. I fully believe that they'll go straight with, like, restricting, like, only these, like, I don't know, 400 or so Pokemon are in Sword and Shield. And then when Pokemon Castle or Pokemon Trebuchet, Pokemon Crossbow, or Spear or whatever, the third version or the sequels, if those come out, that is going to be the game that introduced, or even, heck, Sinnoh, right? If they pull like a Gen 6, because Gen 6, you know, had X and Y, right? And then we got Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. And on top of that, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire had, like, say, Mega Evolutions that just straight up weren't in X and Y. And again, it was an easy way to catch things. But, you know, X and Y still did get banked later. If they come out with, like, Celestial Pearl and Temporal Diamond or something, and then that has, like, all 800 Pokemon, say we get that 2020, I fully believe that's what's going to happen. What I would like to happen, obviously what I want most to happen is I just want every Pokemon available in the game right away. But after that, knowing what we know now, I would really like there to be patches. Again, or just, add Pokemon in later. No paid DLC, completely free, because they kind of, I mean, I don't want to say fan entitlement is a thing, but they, like, I don't know, that's the thing. I think fan entitlement to a degree is a thing, but for something like this, I do kind of think they owe it to us. And I don't want to say something bad like that, because, these are people making games or something and stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of implied, right? There kind of should already be every Pokemon built into the game. Ideally. Let's see. And I'm really behind on chat. Let's see. I think with Mario Maker they can do leaderboards. Madsy says Joe Merrick of Cerebee's tweets are very accurate on how to fix and why it should not have happened. I need to read those. Ultimate Hit again says all the starters should be in the game. Probably Charizard, and that's it. K-Dan says had every version of the game pre-ordered twice. So Sword and Shield, the double each twice for collector's reasons, and also wanted to gift one double for, okay? Excuse me. Silent says, they announced Home before this. That's why I don't view it as them being upfront. That being said, I don't think overworking their devs is the right answer either. A lose-lose situation for sure. Definitely. It's a lose-lose situation. The only win is like the game itself, the single player experience, the new graphics. The lose-lose is the Pokemon themselves and the post-game and stuff. Dan says, for the DLC, the best argument is release of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. They did that because people play Pokemon Go, and they do want your money. Yeah, it's a business. Silence again says, personally, I still want to buy the game because we ride our bike on the water. Oh, we said we couldn't ride our bike inside, so we just decided to pull a Jesus, lol. Let's see. K-Dan says, didn't they already say that no game in the future will have every single Pokemon? Did they say that? I did not get that. If they said that, like, logically, probably. I didn't get that. If they happen to say that, I missed that. But ideally, that would be, if the next games or something like that. Let's see. That's if they don't play Let's Game. I would pay $10 for the additional Pokemon, even though it's a scan. Absol comes here. Hey, how's it going? My friend said that the no transfer was a mistranslation. That's what I saw going around also. For a bit, they were saying, it's a mistranslation. But apparently it's not. Because, and again, Joe, which I don't take everything Joe Merrick says as law, but he's a decent person in the community. He was saying no, it's not a mistranslation, and things have been able to sit for a while, because if it were a mistranslation, I think by now they would have rectified that. They would have said, hey, that was wrong. This is how it's working, and that's the downside, because like. That is the downside, is that we, some things are mistranslations, and we do think some things are. But apparently that's the case. Apparently it is not a mistranslation, unfortunately. But I mean, still, that's what all the discussion and the backlash is about today. So yeah, let's chit chat. Let's see, Bootleg Pikachu. Something that should make people mad is that Mew is tied to the new Pokeball Plus. Yeah, again, rather than it being basic distribution. The reason I am scared about this is this will become a trend. They didn't completely say it was time restraint. Yes, it was a contributing factor, but quote, our new direction going forward. Yeah, for each new generation, I definitely think. Again, I think that that's the way to do it, or that if this is a problem, I think that's what they're going to do going forward. Only a few Pokemon in the main game. And then in the sequel, third version, alternate version, or the remakes of that generation, every Pokemon. I think that's the best way to do it. But because like, if it's ever the case that like there's never going to be any main series Pokemon game that has every single Pokemon, like that goes against everything that Pokemon stands for. That's like completely that's the stupidest thing if they pull that, if they do that, and that deserves backlash. If they never ever release a new game that allows you to have all Pokemon, like forever, like if that becomes a trend, if like no Pokemon game is ever released like that, like, but in a situation like this, I think that is the thing, they could patch them in, or they could have them in the third alternate version. If that's the case, they're like, hey, Pokemon games are never going to allow you to have all 900 or 1,000 Pokemon at once. Then honestly, that's the time to quit. That's the time to just stop buying the games, because like, I don't know. I don't know. But I do that. I don't know. That's my thoughts. Let's see. Oh no, my friend has Japanese friends who said they could be transferred. Okay, we'll wait out this situation a little more though, because if like, I hope, I genuinely hope, I hope it's a mistranslation, but we'll see. I haven't seen any. Again, I can't even check Twitter, but I'll hop on Twitter later and I'll see if there's any news about that. But if so, then like that's a big win. Definitely, we should stay optimistic and hopeful. I guess got to catch most of them. Yeah, I do hope that's the case. But anyway, you know, I should probably be heading off soon. We've been here about 35 minutes. I was gonna still stay here for 30 because it's hot and I gotta turn fans on and everything. Let's see. Silence again says that's when we take our money elsewhere. It's too late for Sword and Shield, but there's still hope for following games. Yeah, check Joe Merrick's account. Did he say an update? If he said an update, go ahead and say what he said here. What I'm mostly mad about is them ditching Megas and Z moves in favor of Big. Yeah, it is the combination of both of them. Like, it's just, a Pokemon becomes Mega and every move is Z move. Like, I really like Megas. I think that was a good direction. If they weren't going to do the whole, like, Pokemon get straight evolutions or anything, then Mega Evolutions are the way to go. I personally wasn't a fan of Z moves. I really like Mega Evolutions. Just making big Pokemon, just making the Pokemon big. Yeah, it looks cool. But here's the thing. Like my thoughts on like Dynamax are like I think that like it's great for the Dynamax raids, for a replacement in PvP battles for PvP battles as a replacement for Megas. I'm not too excited about it. The raids are a great idea. That's a great idea to do as raids. Anything else? No thanks. But anyway, yeah, I'm probably gonna be heading off. Those are my thoughts. Those were your thoughts as well. Thank you guys for joining. Let's see. Pika Mikey Chu says Pokemon Sword and Shield will be brilliant first year wedding anniversary presents for me and my wife on November 18th, 2019. That's a great for you. Silence says, rest in peace, Z moves. There were so many of you. I won't miss you since I mainly shiny hunt. Yeah, it's, but again, yeah, that's gonna, well, whatever's caught. But again, you know, if you have old shiny Pokemon, still transferring them over. But yeah, like I said, that's basically it. Those have been my thoughts. Those have been your thoughts. Again, if you're watching this like as a video on demand, you know, let me leave a comment below. It's an interesting situation. It's an interesting situation. We'll see how it continues to unfold. And hopefully it was a mistranslation. Hopefully something will change in the future, but I don't know. But anyway, if you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like, show your support, subscribe, all of that cool stuff. Enable notifications because apparently those have been fixed. And I hope you guys are enjoying your summer so far, or the E3 week, or whatever. And hopefully some changes. As you can see, like my hair is already getting ruined. But anyway, yeah, this has been GatorX. I'll see you guys because I really gotta turn on some fans.